Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate that report. Well, let's talk to one of those members of Congress, Michigan Congressman and Chairman of the House Education and Workforce Committee, Tim Walberg. Congressman, great to have you with us. Thank you so much for making the time. As you know, this was one of President Trump's pretty major campaign promises for his second term. He signed that initial executive order back in March at the White House with a room full of kids. It was a great event to devolve power and funding over education away from D.C. and back to the states. Your reaction to the agreements between the different agencies announced this week?
Oh, Tom, thanks for having me. I'm super excited about it. This is something that should have taken place years ago. We have a president and we have a secretary of education that are both brave enough to say the king's clothes, the new clothes, aren't there. But in this case, we have 45 years of experience of a bureaucratic agency spending over $1 trillion and now seeing nothing to prove that that was good. In fact, test scores are going down. Kids can't read. There's less control by parents in classrooms, and the bureaucratic nightmare and paperwork cost to our local school districts is exorbitant. So it is time to get it done. We can do it, and I think the 43 days of shutdown of the Department of Education, school buses arrived on time, Friday night lights, football games continued, kids were in the classroom.
Yeah, that they were. As you know, the newest changes involve moving these grant programs out of the Department of Education to other agencies. I think we have a full screen there of that. But you just heard from one of your colleagues on the Democratic side of the aisle in Andrew Kraft's report saying that this is illegal. Is it illegal, or why is he saying that?
Well, I think it's purely political. Democrats and this colleague, friend of mine, he's wrong. Unless they can find a progressive liberal judge to slow things down, this would automatically continue. There are interagency agreements taking place all over government for years, and they continue. But to get back to education, stop and think about the fact that 50 years of the IDEA program, which is for disabled kids in schools to make sure that they're cared for. It's a good program, responsible, but it was cared for 50 years as of this week, and that was before the Department of Education was put in place.
Sure.
When we look at civil rights, the Department of Justice is responsible for civil rights enforcement. They can continue doing that.
Yeah.
Treasury can send out checks for educational funding. So no, this is not illegal. It's a shift.
And let me be clear, this isn't about, we're not eliminating this money. You're moving the money around, and it's still going to be deployed. Let's listen to Linda McMahon, President Trump's Secretary of Education, who addressed more of this at the White House this week.
Educators are innovating in their schools. States are customizing their budgets and standards, and post-secondary institutions are planning for the economy of the future. But we're not leading them. They are informing us. That's why our final mission as a department is to fully empower states to carry the torch of our educational renaissance. We're not ending federal support for education. We are ending federal micromanagement and paving the way for education renewal through state reforms like school choice, the science of reading, and restoring the right priorities in higher education.
About the fact, Congressman, that there's already been a ripple effect within the states that has been helpful and impactful. And one of the things that Congress did do earlier this year is pass a tax cut bill that helped advance school choice and parental choice and other education programs. Talk to us about how the tax cut bill impacted access to education.
Yeah, that one big beautiful bill known as the Working Families Tax Cut did give the first time ever really a toe into the water for universal choice in education. And it left it up to the states. States like Michigan can choose to not do what Ohio and Indiana may do at our own peril. If our governor and the legislature does not allow universal choice to take place, then we will suffer for that. But we have the option. And that's what states and local communities ought to have to do. In the one big beautiful bill also, we took a whack at the high cost of higher education, putting some accountability on higher ed, but also accountability on the borrower. and also in that effort, trying to move away from government-funded education with tuition grants, et cetera, and making it more local. So
Yeah.
the control goes back to where it ought to be.
Secretary McMahon, she's said that this is kind of a pilot program, which does then it kind of falls into your lap in Congress. So what does the House and what do members of Congress need to do to make this permanent or to fully advance this vision that the administration has?
Great question, Tom. We do not want to see a ping pong effect continue on, especially in education, because it impacts not only the kids and the young adults in classrooms, but it impacts us for the future. So we need to get these things put into law, and we will do our level best effort to make lawful by law itself these changes that have been put in place. And really, when we have a chance to debate it, I think the other side will be proven to be absolutely wrong and simply trying to protect the status quo, which is, for all intents and purposes, hurting our educational system, hurting our students, and ultimately the future and our standing in the world. There's a reason why in the past nations all around the world have sent their young people, best and brightest, to the United States for higher education. Well, that's changing now.
Yeah.
And we've got to get that back in place by producing education that works in the marketplace here at the local communities in our districts.
He's the chairman of the House Education and Workforce Committee, Michigan Republican Congressman Tim Walberg. Keep us updated, okay? Thank you for
Look
being
forward
here.
to it. Thanks.
Thank you.